This is Lola Fisher, an agent with Metis Real Estate. And on behalf of our team, we are excited to present to you Profiles. Now, just by the nature of our work in real estate, we get to see some extraordinary places and spaces. And this series is made to showcase the best of the best that we've seen. And I don't just mean the best in terms of what's the most renovated or what's the most updated, because that's not the best to everyone. What we mean is the places that have been transformed, the places that hold deep, compelling stories, the places that we've seen our clients move their lives from surviving into thriving. Each one of these homes captures beauty, elegance, and stories. Each one's a little different, each one's unique. So take a little moment out of your day, a little moment of Zen, to imagine yourself in these spaces and places and enjoy the stories told by our clients and by their homes.
It's funny, when we first moved here, I guess I just hadn't listened to birds or mockingbirds that much, and there was a mockingbird that just went like through the night, just doing a song of and they mash together all kinds of crazy songs that they come up with from everything that they've heard, and it's just like, oh my God, this is gonna be driving me crazy. But now I'm used to it.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So. After I had kind of come to the site, climbed all around the hillside. At the time it was a lot more overgrown, but just getting a feel for the space, and then I put pencil to paper, and at a certain point just kind of using the hillside as inspiration, trying to not just terrace up the hillside, but also kind of mimic some of the slopes of the hillside, and really kind of creating this environment of indoor-outdoor living that opens up to the decks as seamlessly as possible and views of the bay. And coming up with the idea of having really pretty quickly settled on the reverse plan approach to the site, just because the view is pretty spectacular up here, and not wanting to waste that view on just bedrooms, and basically have that be our living space. And so we focused on having the upper floor be very open, big decks outside, and then the lower floor or the middle floor being kind of a little bit more internally focused, a little bit more the heart of the home. And yeah, so that was when once I had pencil. I mean, literally, it was probably only a matter of an hour or two, before the design was pretty much solidified. It was sometimes designs take, you just gotta pull them out of you, and sometimes they just flow, and that one really flowed. I mean, I think a lot of it was having spent enough time on the property beforehand to really get a sense of it, and then also knowing the client really well, my wife and I. So, but yeah, no. I mean, it means the kind of warmer, more internally focused space, the space that we will retire to at the end of the day. And so, a lot of times we'll be up here for the sunset, hanging out, having a glass of wine, looking out, but then, often end up down there listening to music, feeling more internally focused, the warmth, a lot of the wood, the walnut, etc. there, and then the fireplace in the primary bedroom as a place that at the end of each evening often sit and have a glass of wine. So yeah, I'd say the heart of our home is the lounge in the middle of the home that is open to the floor above, but also open to that floor, that middle floor, and that has the warmth of the walnut, and really kind of doubled down on a lot of times I try to offset warmth with some cool colors, and there we didn't shy away from the warmth. We knew that it was going to be okay for that to be a space that was kind of warm on top of warm. So, but yeah, the heart of the home is a place where we feel internally focused, where we are, it's more intimate. It's the place where we kind of retreat from the rest of the world and just focus on ourselves and our relationships. It's interesting to do a house for yourself. A lot of the houses that I do, especially when they're for a developer, are, you need to maintain a reasonable level of neutrality and kind of not go in any direction that might be offensive to any potential buyers. And so it's nice in designing your own home to not have to worry about that to that same degree. And I would say the primary difference is that for us, the bringing warmth into the modernity was important to us, and so kind of offsetting the crispness and the modernness and the cool lines with the natural wood, and almost kind of creating an aesthetic that's, I call it rustic modern, but really bringing in the natural woods and also, I would say, appreciating or celebrating the idiosyncrasies of the materials. So a lot of times when when I'm designing homes for other people, or especially for developers, you're trying to keep everything very clean and consistent. And here, bringing in the mill finish hickory floors and allowing all the sort of idiosyncrasies of that to show up and become kind of a natural pattern for the house, and then carrying that through to the incense cedar decks that you chose to match the floors as much as possible. And also, again, it has the idiosyncrasies as well. The redwood, showing the nails of the redwood, etc. So really, really kind of bringing in the idiosyncrasies of the materials, and the warmth is a little different. But then offsetting it, obviously there's a lot of white, there's a lot of stainless steel, introducing cooler colors with the furniture, and just trying to strike the right balance. It was 5 years from pen to paper to start of construction, or to moving in, sorry. Yeah, it was 5 years from pen to paper to moving in. A lot of it was just moving through the approval process, and so this is a neighborhood of people who, a lot of custom homes, and it's very, the neighborhood and the neighborhood council are all very, very savvy, and so they don't, they want to make sure that anything new that's being built in the area, they feel like it's up to par with what they already have. And so moving through that process took a bit of time. And then construction, and also COVID was, fell right in the middle of all of that. So It didn't really change the concept, but it certainly made us appreciate the indoor-outdoor living possibility. The ability to just sort of open everything up and, creates much more of a safe and sanitary environment. So, yeah. This floor, the ability to just open it up completely and sit there in this environment that isn't really easily defined, that is indoor or outdoor, feeling relatively protected, from the elements, but at the same time completely open to nature, has been amazing. And just especially in the evening or, dusk when we have the doors all open and the fireplace on and the views of the bay and Mount Tam is spectacular. So that's been great. Yeah, the middle floor, I think there's a number of elements there. And honestly, I think when in designing the house, I knew that the top floor was going to be kind of the easy big, splash. And so it then became a matter of how do we still have those moments of inspiration and excitement on the middle floor, especially because, being a reverse plan and coming up the stairs, you're not seeing the top floor immediately, and wanting to kind of hint at what's ahead was important. I'm a pretty avid hiker, and so I really, I love being in nature and seeing some place and thinking, wow, I wonder what it'd be like to be on that hillside or that ridge, and then eventually getting there and experience that. And then you see the next thing, just like, oh, I wonder what it'd be like to be down in that valley, and then you go down there. And so really wanting to kind of have that experience throughout the house where you're seeing different things and feeling drawn to them. And so the middle floor, sort of the initial spark is there when you start to come up the stairs and you see the cascading, chandelier and the wood slats and the built-in shelving, and so really love the lounge area. It like I said before, it's the heart of the home. It feels very warm when you're there. It's very nice to just sit there, like my wife and I or some friends, sipping wine, listening to records, reading, or whatever, is great. And then, obviously we've created the two guest bedrooms. We have no children, so the two guest bedrooms we created to, we knew that most of the time they'd be functioning more as our offices or studios than bedrooms, and so we created those with the glass enclosed atrium that kind of pops in between the two, so that you get you get a little bit of nature kind of sneaking inside the house, and then you get the visibility between the two rooms, but you get the acoustic isolation, so that we could be, one of us, like Marie could be doing a yoga class and I could be, doing a Zoom call, and we can see each other and occasionally like wave and and then when we do want to open it all up, we can open it all up, and it just almost becomes kind of one big room with a little bit of nature in the middle. And so that's really been great.
This video is made possible by Metis Real Estate, helping you design a life you love, one home at a time. See how we do homes differently at metisre.com.
And then, also just having the fireplace and the redwood in the primary bedroom has been, it gives it almost kind of like a little bit of a modern lodge feel. And so it's very enticing to it draws us in at the end of the night very easily to, towards a more restful place. So we definitely are entertainers. We love to entertain. We love to have friends over. And, I think it's interesting, it's like I have friends who are musicians, and there's an obvious entertainment component to what it is that they do. And for me, I got into architecture, at the same time I was also doing a lot of event planning, and entertaining has always been sort of my gift to other people. I'm more of an introverted person, so it's not a matter of standing up on a stage and playing an instrument. It's a matter of creating an environment that where I can, it can be a wonderful environment for friends and family to come. To create an environment where friends and family can come together, and so we've done that wherever we've lived, but it was really nice to be able to create a space from scratch with that goal in mind. And so we've certainly been able to do that, and it's been great to just the feedback of friends who have been come over here, spent the night, and just and making sure they feel at home here as well. I mean, I think The home is a new home, and I think it's probably finding its own it's discovering itself. But I think that the story that it would tell is one of, two people who really love the area and love the nature and wanted to create a beautiful space for themselves, but also for their larger community, and spent the time and energy to put the care in and make that space happen. Being a sloped site and wanting to really kind of mimic the slope of the hillside, we definitely carved in at each floor. And so really the foundation is a significant piece of this house, and it's built on there are two 12-foot retaining walls, and we wanted to expose that concrete where we could and where it made sense, but at the same time we wanted to really make sure, especially the middle floor, and that it did not feel like you were bunkered underground. And so the reality is, we're at grade right here. So that lower floor, there's portions of it that are completely underground, but you wouldn't know that because of how much we brought the exterior in and the light in where those opportunities exist. But yeah, really from the beginning wanting to authentically portray the materiality of the house. So not shying away from exposing concrete. If you notice when you enter just even the foyer, we've got a concrete wall, we've got a polished concrete floor, and then bringing the materials that we're using on the outside in. So bringing the redwood in immediately too. And so kind of from the moment that you enter the house, even though the foyer is relatively small, you get an introduction to the palette of the house. You get the concrete, you've got the redwood coming in. And so, wanting to then carry that up through the rest of the house and introducing other things occasionally where there's opportunities for some nuances. But yeah, obviously terracing the house to kind of flow and be in harmony with the hillside is important, and that naturally creates the decks off of each floor, and that in exchange really helps with the indoor-outdoor living and connectivity of each floor. And so utilizing the terracing and the decks to create that feeling. And then again, with the materials, knowing obviously there's woods that can be outside, woods that can be inside, woods that can be both. So the redwood we've got outside and inside, but the floors inside are hickory. Can't bring hickory outside on the decks, but that's where we chose the incense cedar that, if you look, you can see it's very similar, and we chose planks that are the same size and a finish that's similar. And so really kind of trying to accentuate that indoor-outdoor experience. As much as this was a big undertaking for me, I certainly leaned on my office, my staff, to help me with the process, and they've been great all through construction, and they're a really great team, and I think they've all enjoyed working with me as their client in a way as well. Yeah, so I'm Brad Gunkel with Gunkel Architecture. We're a Bay Area-based firm serving Northern California and beyond, and we primarily focus on residential, single-family and multifamily, and do a lot of really great single-family homes in the Bay Area. A lot of the properties in the Bay Area that are still available are hillsides, and so really love the challenge of designing hillside homes in particular, and kind of working with the topography and the nature, and creating an environment that is inspiring, and And also a lot of the work that we do is in the immediate Bay Area, and I feel that we have a style that we've created that is modern but also warm, and that recognizes the beauty of the Pacific Coast and bringing in those natural materials and even the architectural history of the area by bringing in that warmth and that natural, that authenticity, and also just, but balancing that with the modernity that I feel really does, more than anything, provide the opportunity to really embrace the climate here. I feel that modern homes allow you to open things up to the exterior in a way that would feel maybe at odds with a lot of more traditional styles. And so by doing that, but then also bringing in the natural materials, you're kind of opening up to the outside and then bringing the outside in.
Thank you so much for watching. If you saw something you liked, please like this video, subscribe, and drop a comment below. We love to hear from you. And if there's a space that you think should be featured in our profile series, please let me know. I'd love to talk to you about it and see who else and whose homes we can feature next. And with that, I'm Lolo Fisher with Metis Real Estate, always happy to serve as your trusted real estate advisors. See you next time.